Okay, so now we're looking at the subtraction of rational numbers. Now, I treat subtraction just like addition. I do not consider the two different. I made a second video just to kind of talk about it, and we're going to kind of review that addition using subtraction, and so you can see what I'm talking about when I mean they're not different, they're the same thing. So, the word difference means subtraction. So anytime you hear that word difference, we're looking at a subtraction problem. With that being said, let's go ahead and look at our next problem. So like we talked about in section 3, we have one's positive, see it's a positive 3, and one's negative. When one is positive and one is negative, we subtract. So 3 minus 2 is 1. We look at the larger number. Well, 3 is larger than 2. Remember, you're looking at the absolute value, not negative 2, but 2. Absolute value there would be 2 instead of negative 2. So this is a positive 3. 3 is larger than 2. So my answer is going to stay positive since 3 is positive. All right. 1 is positive. When there's no sign like this in front, that means it's a positive number. 1 is negative. So even though this is subtraction, it's still negative 10. They're the exact same thing. 1 is positive, 1 is negative, we subtract. 10 minus 4 gives me 6. When I look at it, is 4 larger or 10? Remember, looking at absolute value, not negative 10, 10. 10 is larger than 4, and 10 is negative, so my answer should be negative. Now here's one where I actually would do something a little different. I never write two signs when I'm working a problem. So anytime you see two signs next to each other, then you've got to make it a single sign. So when we talk some more about multiplication, and I know you guys got this in 7th grade, when we talk more about multiplication, a negative times a negative is a positive. And now we're looking at this problem. So anytime you have two symbols, like two addition, two subtraction, an addition and a subtraction, you should combine them to make one. Now it's very, very easy. 8 plus 2 is 10. I don't even have to really think about that. All right, so we're going to do that again. It's a minus 9 in the front. Here's a negative right next to a negative. A negative makes a positive in multiplication. Now, 1 is negative, 1 is positive. We subtract. 9 minus 4 gives me 5, which is larger than 9 or the 4. So 9, remember absolute value, we're not looking at negative 9. 9 is larger, 9 is negative, so my answer has to be negative. So it doesn't matter if I'm looking at an addition problem or a subtraction problem, they work exactly the same. All right, here we go again. Both numbers are negative. And I can look back at my little cheat sheet. When they're both negative, the answer stays negative, and I add them together. 6 plus 2 would be 8. So think of it like this. I owe you $2. I borrow 6 more. I still owe you, and I owe you $8. Okay. Now here's one with a decimal point. So we have negative 4.5 and negative 2. They're both negative. That means my answer is going to stay negative. I'm going to add them together. Remember, if you are having problems with remembering how to add decimals, we're looking at that. So 4 plus 2 would be 6.5. Okay. All right, here comes a longer problem. So we want to do the cleanup first. So negative 6 is okay, but here you have a negative next to a negative, and a minus minus becomes a plus 2. A minus minus becomes a plus 4. Minus 12 plus 3. Also, if you think of it as order of operations, we have to get rid of the parentheses first. And in order to get rid of those parentheses, we have to do a minus times a minus. Now we're going to look at the easiest way to add this together. And that might be different for you than me. I notice 4 plus 2 here is 6. Negative 6 plus positive 6 gives me 0. So that was just something I noticed right off the bat. If not, let's just start left to right. Negative 6 plus 2 gives me a positive 4. I don't know if I have enough room to keep going there, but all right. 4 plus 4 gives me 8. Minus 12 plus 3. 8 minus 12. One's positive, one's negative. We subtract and we get 4. The 12 is larger, so the be larger would be negative because the 12 is larger. And one's positive and one's negative, positive and negative. Okay, I subtract and I get 1. 4 is bigger than 3. 4 is negative, so my answer is -1. Take it step by step. Let's look at one with decimals. Same idea, but with decimals. All right, clean up your mess first. Minus minus is a plus. Getting rid of those parentheses. Plus 6.3 minus minus is a plus 5.2. Nice thing about this problem is it stayed positive. There is no negatives anywhere, so when I get my final answer, it's going to be positive. For me, the easiest thing when I'm doing decimals is I want to line them up. And I'm just going to use this one here, 6.3, 7.1, and 3.0. 5, 6, 10, 21. So my answer is 21.6.